Mr. Shatner has just arrived.
Oh, there he is.
The great William Shatner has just arrived.
Conglomeration.
How are you, Bill?
Guys, how are you? Opie and Anthony. It's
been a while, sir.
It's been the Opie and Anthony channel. I can't
Wow.
believe it.
No one's supposed to know about that.
But that's
Mr.
okay.
Shatner, but that's okay if you're announcing it.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes.
Opie and Anthony channel.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet.
It's barely a show, and here it is a channel.
That's true, right? Barely a show. It's yeah. I guess. Did he just make the official announcement?
I guess. Yeah.
I was doing some recordings back there before I came in the building. They wouldn't let me in the building, first of all, and then they finally let me in the building. The first thing I do is, would you say the Opie and Anthony channel, please?
Nice.
Why wouldn't they let you in the building? You're William Shatner.
I know.
For God's sake.
Maybe that's why.
I know.
I left my bag that I carry around in this car that's taking me around. I didn't want to schlep it around.
Yeah.
So I left my identification.
Oh
so
my
the
God.
person from the publishing company is holding up my book as identification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and the woman says, I read it. I don't want him to get.
I would have just given that retinal scan, much like you did in The Wrath of Khan, where you just looked into it.
My eyes are
in order
bloodshot
to get,
from.
Yeah, in order to get the information for the Genesis device.
Yes. That was very complicated.
This happens every
I
time.
don't know whether
Mr.
to laugh
Shatner
after
hates
that was worth it.
Well, I like to think I could sit and talk with Bill about
we can.
you know,
About the Opie and
anything, a little
Anthony
bit of everything,
channel.
and Star Trek does come up every 2 seconds with me.
I've never seen an episode of Star Trek, not one.
What are you, crazy?
I just haven't. I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
I would like to.
There's something wrong with him. It starts with the language.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that accent? Anybody with that kind of accent won't watch Star Trek.
We only just got TV in Australia, let alone Star Trek.
Really?
Hell no.
What do they got? Skippy the Bush Kangaroo?
Very popular show to this day.
I remember that one.
Jesus, how do you remember that?
That's an old.
Is that a real
that's an
show?
oldie.
It was,
That was Skippy the
it
Bush
was basically
Kangaroo.
like Lassie, but it was
Right.
kangaroo based. and so like you'd have this kid called Sonny, he'd fall down a well, and Skippy would come out going, and they go, "What's that, Skip? Sonny's falling down the well." Now the thing is, they always used to get Skippy to point the direction, and they could never get the kangaroo to do that. So they used to just fucking go into the bush, kill another kangaroo, cut its arm off, and there'd be some cameraman poking this dead limb.
Suddenly the laughter ebbed out of the
Yeah,
room.
what happened?
What happened?
How do you know that's true?
Later.
That's hilarious, though. It's
Not
true.
really.
Which is a great segue into your book, by the way.
Yes.
It's you're a funny dude. It's called Shatner Rules, and I didn't read the whole thing because we had I was reading another biography, but I've read the first couple of chapters.
One eye with on one book and the other eye on the other.
I know,
book?
I'm
That's
not
how
a good
he-
multitasker.
that's how he
We've had a lot of
Multitasking.
authors in lately, but
I love the writing in this.
authors.
And
Thank you.
The first one's about the Comedy Central roast where you got roasted,
Yeah.
and it was funny because you put some comebacks that you should have said there in this, and you don't seem to take yourself seriously at all, which is great.
Well, there's not much to take seriously about. You got to handle your material, and there's not much to handle here. No, I'm joking. The laughter ebbed out.
We're like, wait a minute.
Cutting up the arm of a kangaroo.
I'm just glad it's not just me, to be honest with you. Thanks for making the Skippy story look good.
You and I should unite on publicizing this book. So the book it does carry some of those. I mean, somebody yesterday said I'm getting a seat on the subway because I read the book in the subway. I start cackling out loud, and people move
they
aside.
kind of move. They think,
because they think they're
somebody's
crazy, and then they sit down in the subway.
What I think of you, what to me the best definition of you is the SNL sketch you did where you kind of goofed on, it's a show, get over it. Like that's how I kind of view your personality, and I read everything kind of hearing it in that voice.
and that kind of
And
yeah.
chapter 2 is to be a Shatner, you must know Shatner. I kind of finished that where you just list a bunch of facts about yourself, which are interesting and fucking hilarious. Like I don't know why I like the one about your first movie, which you said, what was it called? I can't. My first film, in a 1951 Canadian film titled "The Butler's Night Off." I've never seen it, and I don't know why that interested me so much. You've never seen the first movie? You did.
So much I haven't seen of my. I avoid watching it.
As you should.
The book is funny, and the book attempts to say, and there's a group of guys. I'm telling your listening audience here. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8, 9 guys in the room here,
Yeah.
and
One woman short of a rape.
of a minion, and everybody's got a voice. And my book, I don't know how I'm going to relate this, is the concept behind the book is to say yes to opportunities. So here, you guys have all said yes, you're going to be here. We're having an adventure together just by the very fact that you're here. My book says say yes. To opportunity, yes to life, and that's the basis of the book, and everything is told, hopefully with humor, but with that idea in mind.
That's a pretty good philosophy to have. Very unlike the character in the Twilight Zone, though, kept putting the penny in the machine. And his life was pretty much being dictated by every little slip that came out. He goes, should we leave? Should we leave now? Should we check if the car's repaired? Very different.
But what a great science fiction concept or horror concept.
Fantastic,
It's
because
a great, the writing, the writer who said, I was doing this machine, wouldn't it be marvelous if somebody's life was dictated? I'll write that script.
Yes, and you know what else was great about that? There wasn't any weird, scary thing in there. The whole thing, it wasn't supernatural. It was just somebody's paranoia and them getting caught up in something.
Right,
yeah.
But it made a Twilight Zone.
It was a very, very thrilling
and struck a sort of universal note.
Yeah,
it's around. More.
Unlike, of course, there's a man on the wing. You know, I was like that one too.
And that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, surely that stemmed from if we were meant to fly, we'd have wings.
Right.
Now, who did that first? Was that you or Lithgow who did that first?
Who'd what?
Oh,
You or
Shatner.
John
no,
Lithgow?
Shatner
I'm
did it.
kidding.
Stop it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Jimmy, you know what?
It's
I don't
hard
even
to
care
tell,
if you're
Bill.
kidding. You
It's
don't
hard to
insult
tell.
Bill Shatner like that.
No, his little smiley face looking up at you.
I know,
You don't know
it is.
whether he's
I
kidding.
know.
You don't know whether
Yes.
he's real or
Yeah.
not.
Can I say another great thing that I like, and I want to ask you about this? It's another funny fact. Number 12. I once got into a fist fight on stage during the Broadway run of The World of Susie Wong with Australian actor Ron Randell. For 50 years, he's ignored my challenges for a rematch. Coward! Editor's note, Mr. Randell died in 2005. It's fucking funny,
when he
man.
heard me issue that challenge, he died.
It's great, man.
That is awesome.
Did you really? But what spurred the fist fight? I've been wanting to ask you that for a week.
He used to clap me on the shoulder somewhere after opening night when the show's supposed to be frozen. When he had a laugh on some line, and he'd clap me on the shoulder like, "Hey, hail fellow, well met." If the laugh was good and loud, he would just be a tap. But if he missed the laugh, either in rage or frustration or thinking it was my fault, he'd hit me hard. So after a while, I'd say, "Ron, that scene is becoming all about my absorbing your punch." And he was an Olympic swimmer. Had been.
Oh.
All Australians are.
Yeah, apparently
He never
so.
let up. And I kept asking people, "Will you ask him to not hit me so hard?" Stage manager, Josh Logan, the producer, everybody. And finally, one day, after months of this, I said, "If you hit me again, I'm going to hit you back." So he took that as a challenge. So he hit me on stage.
Wow.
So I hit him back on stage.
In the middle of the show.
In the middle of the show.
Oh, what a great
That's
show.
And
that
then,
must have been.
when the first act curtain came down, he came charging over at me, swung. I ducked, and he hit a prop guy in the face.
Now, did the crowd think that was part of the show?
Yeah. Well, we just kept going.
They
what
just-
fun-
And what I didn't write about, because what happened after that was finally the curtain came down and everybody left the theater, including me. And the next evening, we all went to our dressing rooms, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And those dressing room doors are kept open by a wedge because it's a fire door. And so to keep them open, they're wedged. I'm in my dressing room, and in he comes, and he's looking for a fight in the dressing room, in a 12 by 12 dressing room. That's like being locked in a cage with a mountain lion. The stage manager got between us. Somebody kicked the wedge out. The door shut, and there were 3 guys in a small room.
Oh, shit.
And I had a picture, a mental image of his jugular and I was going to go bite him on the jugular. That's where I was going. They
Maniacal.
finally kept us apart.
Now, did you ever make up with?
Oh, yeah.
You know how much history would have changed if like, say you would have bitten his neck and then they just threw you out acting, just like you can't hire this guy. He bites the neck of the other
people on
actors.
the neck, yeah.
Like how different life would be.
Well, I
I've
might have been
seen,
hired. Let's get him to bite somebody on the
that's
neck.
true. You know
I've
what?
seen Bill deliver a karate chop, though. That probably would have taken him right out. One of those quick, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Like that. Yeah.
And a quick pork chop too. I mean, it's just-
Whatever kind of chops you need.
Do you really suffer from tinnitus?
I do.
Which, by the way, funny line. For many years, I've suffered from tinnitus. That's where I pulled that out of. Now it only flares up when I don't want to listen to all those questions about Star Trek. It's fucking
You
great.
know what tinnitus is?
It's when you had that ringing in your
Yeah,
ears, right?
ringing
From
in
where'd
the
you get it from?
Well, I got it from an explosion, but sound engineers have it, rock musicians have it. It's
Radio
Guys.
people. Yeah.
Radio people have it.
got it from Warp Drive.
armed forces have it a lot.
What explosion?
Explosion on set, actually. The doors were shut. They should have been cracked because of the air charging, and they didn't. And ever since then, it's gotten worse over the years.
And when it's funny. For your roast, you asked Leonard Nimoy to come, and he said no. He couldn't handle it. Right?
He knew more than I did.
Oh,
I hadn't really seen it.
Oh, no.
did you
And I
enjoy
thought,
the roast?
that's like Frank Sinatra's roasts and Dean Martin.
Right.
Hey, look
Yeah.
at it, funny, and it wasn't that at all. It's
very insulting.
It's really mean. Did you see the Charlie Sheen one?
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you were very good on the
Thank
Charlie
you.
Sheen.
We had a couple
Yeah.
friends that
But that's like
were
an-
part of the roast.
what?
Patrice and Amy.
O'Neill and Amy Schumer are friends of ours.
Well, first of all, it's very funny.
Yes.
But it's like an intervention.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, why not have an intervention and shaming people? Look what you've done to your family. Look what you've done to your friends. Look what you've done to yourself. You lost your job. You lost all the money. And the person is like cowering and feeling so badly, they think, I got to go get a drink. Right? I mean, that's what an intervention is. Why not do it with humor? You're a funny guy. Look what you've done, and mock them with humor, so it's less an attack and more an observation.
Right.
Yeah.
So you seem to have a pretty thick skin about stuff like that. Like you're not easily.
I am.
offended.
Don't say anything mean.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle having one about myself. I think that was people who
No,
get
no,
think
that
that
would be a little
it's
much.
terribly thick.
But wait a minute. That isn't like you're locked in a room with 8 guys here with a microphone, and you think nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah.
Michael,
True.
this channel, there's 1,000 people in the audience, and there's all these people on the dais laughing. He's getting it. His turn to be whacked. And then it's awful.
It looks very uncomfortable at times, and you have to kind of sit there and laugh. But yeah,
You
got
mean the audience, or the person there?
I would think the person there would have to.
The person there is gritting their teeth.
Yeah,
Are
you got to
kidding?
make believe it doesn't bother
Oh
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
I think
really
you can-
matter. Ha, ha.
You got to be good
Yeah.
at acting.
It can only be done in America. The British couldn't do it. I
There
don't
would be a
think.
fight?
No. In the end, they'd just be polite to each other. They would just all in with, "No, I'm not going to say that. I quite like you."
Yeah, but the British get skewered in their papers.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, the
those
tabloids,
tabloid papers.
yeah.
As bad as ours are, the English are just.
Way worse.
Well, their
Very
mainstream papers are like our tabloid papers. It really is kind of. I like the nudity in it, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
kinda
wonderful
nice.
thing is just have tits on page 3.
Yeah,
like
for no
it's,
reason.
Like it's part of their rights. Like they've tried to take him away, and the English are just like what? And sometimes in some of the papers in the Sun, they'll have like Jenny with her tits out, and then a speech bubble saying what Jenny thinks about the war in Iraq.
That's very funny, but I don't want to get push this book too much, except to say that
please.
it's a great read, and I urge your
Yes.
listeners to. It debuted, or it dropped Tuesday, and next Tuesday, but you can get it now. My record is
Oh
dropping.
yes.
Which we played Iron Man from, which you're getting a lot of.
Hey, listen!
play from.
I came up in the elevator to the Opie and Anthony channel.
Yes.
and some young man with his hair combed up with a lot of brass and leather.
Jose.
Yeah, was it Jose? The
Yes.
spokesman for heavy metal.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I heard your record. It's great heavy metal. We need heavy metal. I said, well, if I get on the air, I'll talk about the energy that was necessary to do this this song with Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
20 of the greatest musicians alive today are on Seeking Major Tom. but for the moment, Zach Wilde is. Have you ever had him up here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you know what an
Jimmy's a
extraordinary
giant
individual
fan,
he is,
too,
yeah.
right? And what a fabulous musician.
Amazing.
I mean, apparently he went. I didn't know this. He went from being 130-pound skinny guy playing for Ozzy, right?
Yeah.
And then he went from that to this muscled up dude with tattoos and a long ponytail. Where that transformation took place, I don't know.
Right.
But I was in a studio and watching him lay down his tracks for Iron Man, which in this arc of what happened to Major Tom when after the Bowie song, what did happen to Major Tom when he stepped out of the capsule? I speculate in all these songs. Walking on the Moon, Space Cowboy.
Okay.
You got it? So
There's a
then he
theme
begins
to
to
it, then.
die, and he begins to hallucinate. And we go into his background, Bohemian Rhapsody. We get to the Twilight Zone. And finally he goes to heaven. He imagines heaven with the Sinatra song, querying God. How could you let this happen? And goes to hell in Iron Man. So I tell Zach Wilde, this is the concert. He says, I want to be part of it. And I go up to his studio, and I've laid down my track. I'm doing Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man. I go up to the studio, and he is a madman with this extraordinary fingering of his guitar and the voice and the energy, the pure energy, the artistry of Zach Wilde. Well, I fell over. I had no idea. I had to go back to the studio days later and lay down another track to match the energy.
He did the vocals, right? That was Zach singing?
I'm singing
Well, he's
with
singing.
him.
Right, you
He's
are.
doing the
Yeah.
backups and then
One of us was doing the backup to the other at various
Yeah, yeah.
times. It was, but my eyes and my vocal cords were opened at the concept of heavy metal. I had no idea.
Zach's very good. Yeah, and so you listen to his guitar tracks and
his vocals.
and you had laid the vocals down already, so
Yeah.
you were kind of like,
In
oh boy, I gotta.
That's exactly
I gotta
right.
step this up.
This is. I've done nothing. I'm the weak
I
sister.
phoned
here.
it in.
Exactly. I had no idea. Heavy metal's foreign to me. I guess you have to comb your hair up and wear black leather. And I got a headbanger award, an honorary headbanger award from Revolver magazine for this number. And the one question I kept getting. What the hell are you doing here?
But he even called it a number. That's old school. That's what Ozzy
Sure.
introduced. We're going to do a number now. That's old school. You
Well,
should-
what else do you call it?
a song or this one, but Ozzy calls it a number. That's the way you should address it, as a number. So you have to go a little more metal based than you think.
And Mr. Shatner's 80, right?
The what?
How old are you now, sir?
37.
37.
37, 38. That's where I think I left off. I stopped.
Thinking about
in my
age?
own mind, I stopped about 37.
It's
or
just
38.
amazing.
Yeah, you really did.
First of all, you don't look your age whatsoever.
Or act it. You're an
Or
amazingly
act it, of
healthy
course.
energy.
You're able to keep up with Zach Wilde. Are you kidding me? That's pretty crazy in its own right.
Well, that's, I think, DNA.
you don't think it's good living?
Well, it's that too. I haven't abused myself too much.
Yeah.
Now, do you drink or do you eat unhealthy, or are you fairly regimented?
I probably, I don't know you and your habits, but
Terrible. My
Terrible.
habits are
Well, then I'm
terrible.
regimented.
You used to be a smoker, right?
What?
You were a smoker.
A
weren't you,
long
back then?
time ago. I gave it up a long time ago.
Because I remember you doing when you did the cover of Rocket Man, and you
Oh,
had
yeah,
that
the
cigarette.
cigarette.
You looked cool.
We played that
fantastic.
earlier. It was
Cool.
cool.
Well, I
as
was trying
fuck.
to do some.
That's the reason why I took up smoking.
I was glad I was able to help you between all those sawbones
you've given
of the kangaroo.
They were cutting off kangaroo arms.
Right.
I
It's
needed
bad enough to
another
cut off their
hobby.
tails. You know, they live. You cut off their tails because they eat them, and they grow a new tail.
Kangaroos?
I don't know that.
I know certain reptiles.
I
I've
yeah.
never
Well,
heard
isn't
of
a
the
kangaroo a
I
reptile?
don't think. I don't know. I don't think a
Maybe you're
kangaroo
thinking of the gorn. I think the gorn is.
I'm throwing that out there as a possibility.
Ed knows more about Star Trek than Mr.
Of
Shatner.
course, I do.
Was that a
And-
Star
and-
Trek
more about
reference?
Star
Yes,
Trek than
Shatner
anybody.
knows that.
He doesn't know
I
this
just
stuff.
never stop.
I don't think he knows
I
this stuff.
never stop with the Star Trek references.
Well, let me tell you about another
can't.
Star Trek thing that I've
Oh,
done. Now, wait a minute.
please.
You're going to love this.
All
okay?
right.
I directed a documentary I called The Captains. Okay. Now, it was released on Epix television, and it's going into the theaters in Canada, and it's coming out as a DVD here October 20th, in a couple of weeks. Ooh. DVD of the Captains. Is really sensational. It made its premiere on the aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, one summer's evening this past summer, while the sun was setting and the skyline of New York was lighting up. A huge screen on the landing deck and 1,000 people watching this film. It's all about the actors. It's all about the actors, the human beings who played the captains in Star Trek. But it's about their character. It's about their soul. It's about what we have in common, what we have as differences. Something marvelous happened in this documentary. It has an arc and a meaning, and it's funny and it's soulful. And there's even an interview with there you are, 80 years old.
George
Takei. There you are, 80. With
George Takei, Leonard
our
Nimoy.
the musician.
A musician. Oh, shit. Zach Wilde.
In which we... I'll name a company in a second. He's a good buddy, and now I can't think of his name. In which we sing the interview.
Oh,
okay? It's so much fun. It's a DVD called The Captains, and it's coming out October.
You keep so goddamn busy.
He's written...
How many? Yeah, how
30 books.
30 books.
You're going to love this.
30.
Star Trek. You're going to love this. After that documentary and the success of the documentary, they said, what else do you want to do? I said, well, I'd like to examine why people go to conventions. Why in this particular case, people go to the Star Trek conventions.
Yeah.
So I went to Vegas, where they were having the largest Star Trek convention of its kind ever, 20,000 people. And I shot a documentary on why people go to conventions. I had written a book some years earlier called Get a Life, in which I discovered through interview that they were going there to see themselves, to see each other, to partake of each other. That's what I discovered in the book. What I discovered in the documentary, which I'm calling Fanatics, and it'll be released in a few months, is that they're there out of passion for each other, passion for the subject, but another deeper meaning. Joseph Campbell wrote a book called A Hero with 1,000 Faces. Had the theory, and it's obvious that it's a fact, that every culture has its mythology, starting from way back, even before the Greeks. Mythology. Star Trek is this culture's mythology. The actors who play the captains are their heroes. They partake in the ritual of the mythology by going to the convention, by wearing the costumes, by getting the autographs, by getting the doodads, by what you are doing in your passion for Star Trek.
Just remembering lines and scenes.
What you are doing.
Amazingness.
By that he means
participating in the ritual of the mythology.
Yeah.
And it's an honorable thing.
yes, especially while languishing in alcoholism.
It's also 20,000 people trying to lose their virginity. So that's,
In one fell swoop.
Wait, are you
lying on the floor, writhing.
William has to go soon because he has other interviews.
10 o'clock interview.
But
he's got.
what are you doing a signing today? I believe you are doing one. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
12:30?
12:30 at...
I don't know. Do we have it?
How
or
do
no?
we not have that
At Barnes
information?
and Noble.
How do we not have that?
12:30 at Barnes and Noble down here on
There's a big one on Fifth Avenue.
on Fifth Avenue.
It is Fifth
Yeah,
Avenue.
the Fifth
That's in Union Square, and that's a massive Barnes and Noble. And there's plenty of room to stand inside, so you're not going to be outside.
And I'm going to do exactly 1 hour. And exactly...
One of your Earth hours. It was like when they had to say that, you know.
So you better get down there because I'm going to sign them quickly and
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, the book. Should we plug everything? 'Cause
yeah.
years ago-
Well, I want to play another song off his CD too.
What
Yes.
song are you going to play? You know
I
what
was
I
going to
haven't
ask
heard?
you.
I
yeah.
haven't heard Twilight Zone. When I recorded, I thought, this could be pretty good, but I haven't heard anybody play it. Why don't you play,
Yeah, we'll play that
Twilight
one.
Zone?
And you know what? You got Warren Haynes. I love the Warren Haynes.
I mean, just read that list of musicians that are on
Warren
that.
Haynes knows how to play.
I mean, my God.
man.
Sheryl Crow sings Mrs. Major Tom. Lyle Lovett, Brad Paisley. And then you go on, but Peter Frampton, John Wilton, Wayne Kramer. Michael Schenker, Michael Schenker, Ernie Watts. I mean, the list goes on and on.
And also Zach. And I love the Iron Man version. I like the fact that you sang it. I thought it was cool. And there's
Thank
on
you
YouTube.
so much.
On YouTube, you can see clips of him going, "I am Iron Man," trying to get the opening.
Yeah.
And,
But
it
you
was
know
cool.
what that clip is? That clip is me in the first.
Right.
The first when I laid that track down
Yeah.
first,
Before you
and I'm
heard
trying
Zach.
to find the music, and I can't find it. I couldn't find it because I wasn't doing it right. Only when Zach showed me the way was I able to do it.
Yeah, it's
And Zach sounds like Ozzy.
Yeah, he sounds great. He
For,
can
for
sing.
a
he
minute there, I
does.
thought it was Ozzy himself. So, all right, we'll
Yeah.
do Twilight Zone. What the hell?
And it's
That's
out in
the
a
one-
week.
Yeah.
Right. It's called Seeking Major Tom. You can get that
It
on
drops on the this Tuesday, but it's out there now wherever, whatever. Yeah.
And Shatner Rules is out now. It's hilarious. The 2 chapters I've read, I loved. And he's signing today, 12:30, Barnes and Noble. And
Very cool,
you're just
William
great. We love
Shatner.
you.
Thank you so much for coming in. We always
Thank
love
you.
having you on, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
man.
And quickly, Jim Jeffries Stress Factory
Yes,
starting
Stress
tonight for the
Factory
weekend.
through
And
the
Jimmy's
weekend.
going to be at the Stress Factory soon.
Early in November, and I'm at Pittsburgh at the Improv at the end of October.
And we love you, Bill. You got to come in and see us again soon, man. We love when you come by.
Beautiful. I love talking to you guys.
All right, William
And
Shatner,
now you
everyone.
got
This
your
is
own channel.
Twilight
My
Zone.
Lord, it's just a...
We'll check this out as we say goodbye. See you tomorrow.
We got Mr. Shatner outside the studio.
Bill Shatner. Get him in here immediately. Oh, my God. Wait.
Welcome back to the show.
so good.
There you go.
I'm aboard.
Captain on the bridge.
How are you,
Captain
everybody?
on the bridge.
How nice to see everybody.
Mr. Shatner, hello.
Bill.
Or Bill, as I like to
How
call
are
him.
you?
How are you?
Bill,
Good to see you.
my good friend
What's
Bill
going on,
Shatner.
Bill?
Morning.
Back on the Opie and Anthony show. Wow, we were looking at your new album.
Yeah.
I like this.
Oh, I hope you do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's it's out there. It's progressive rock. It's
Yes.
a whole new area that I wrote the words. Billy Sherwood wrote the music.
Yes.
And he's done a genius job in interweaving music and words and then these great musicians who've done solo numbers on it.
How does this get started? Like, how do you find something like this, a project like this to do?
Well, the label says to me, "Would you like to do another album?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What would you do?" And I said, "I just flashed on an impulse. I guess it's something creative." And I said, "I'll write about a guy sitting on a beach in despair, an hour before sunset, and then the sun sets, and through the beauty of the night, he regains his joy of life." That one line was merely the way I hooked songs together. Now that you know, you might recognize it as a progression, but you wouldn't have to know that to listen to the album and hear the song.
So it's a story.
Well, for me,
weaved
it's a story,
through-
but not necessarily. You know, the order of the songs. I placed the order of the songs so that it made that kind of sense that the opening number, "Where's it gone? Give it back. I'm missing something. Give it back." Lurches into a song of unhappiness, and then gradually he begins to find, and then he questions time. Where does time go when time comes to an end? And they're all melodic, and it's all music, but it's progressive rock, so it's pushing some sort of musical envelope.
Pushing the boundaries.
And what do you think? Somebody maybe might be able to partake a little weed and listen to this. And
I think weed would be nice. Weed is always nice.
Maybe pop some mollies. Pop mollies.
Tequila.
wow, yeah, whatever. Name your poison, as they say.
Do you indulge? Do you smoke?
No, I mean, no. But one should take the opportunity to enjoy oneself because you only come by once.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look how well dressed Bill is.
Well,
today.
look, Bill
I got
always
some
comes in here looking great.
Is that why?
Stuff to do, yeah. So I thought I'd wear the black suit. It's slimming.
You got like a Johnny Cash thing happening.
Yeah, right.
now.
I'm doing my Johnny Cash.
Oh,
thing.
wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to the prison.
You go to Folsom Prison and
Yeah, right, sing a song.
sing a few songs.
Right.
You might as well.
About weed.
I have a question. Did you,
Yes.
did you really turn down Richard Branson? He offered you the flight to go up in the new craft, and you said no?
Well, he said to me, this is maybe even years ago, a couple of years. He said, I'm going up. Would you like to go up in the airplane? I said, yeah, it sounds like it. He said, it's great. It'll cost you $250,000.
He wanted you to pay.
Right. So I said, oh, you want me to pay?
That's
I said,
crazy.
No. I said, I'll go and you pay me $250,000.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That would help the business to have Shatner on that.
So
Of course it would.
I never heard from him again.
Good for you, Bill. I was going to say Mr. Shatner.
Our sheet says that you didn't go because you were scared of airline travel.
Yeah, right. I'm a private pilot. I have 7 hours in helicopter. I'm learning to fly a helicopter.
And he's afraid of flying. I think he's watching too much Twilight Zone.
paramotoring. I'm into paramotoring, which is
Paramotoring, wow,
So
that's
you
cool.
strap a 75-pound engine on your back, run like hell. You have to run. So you need a prevailing breeze because you got to get to about 13 miles per hour to get flying speed, and you got a kite that you're holding onto, and you run like hell, usually on a beach because that's where the prevailing breeze is. And you fly about 25 miles an hour, and now you're up in the air with a kite.
That's crazy.
Wait, you actually do this?
Yeah, I've done it many times.
How high do you go?
Well, there have been some people who got caught in an updraft in a thunderstorm and died of hypothermia. They may have gone as far as high as 30,000 feet. With some of those hammerheads, storm can get that high.
Yeah, they'll just blast you right up.
I fly gliders as well, and this instructor took me up one time in a thunderstorm, and we were angled, pointing straight down and going up.
And still going up.
Come on.
How scary is that?
That's scary.
Aren't gliders pretty scary in general?
No,
They seem like it.
Well, you have to stick around the landing field. You have to land, but you have a means of killing the flight by spoilers on the top of the wing. So you can stop flying whenever you want. So if you come in for a landing and you're sort of like overshooting and you can't go back, there isn't an engine, you pull those flaps in effect
You
on,
lose lift
and you
and then
lose lift almost right away.
Wow.
So the thunderstorms, how hot? Like you're going at 100, 200 feet, and then the thunderstorm can just suck you up.
Well, yeah, probably not that low, but you get towed to 1,200, 1,500, a couple of thousand feet. You get towed up, you release, and then you play around in the thermals. Thermals are columns of air that heat up like a plowed field will radiate heat more than a green field. So now there's hot air rising, and in that rising air, and you look for the rising air, either birds or clouds indicate there's rising air, and you have an instrument on your panel that tells you that you're rising or falling. And one time, a long time ago, when I was circling in a thermal, a hawk got in the same thermal, and we were circling each other, big red hawk at me, and he was looking at me, and I was looking at him. It was the most
That's
incredible
pretty
moment.
cool. Yeah.
Did you write a song about that?
Yeah,
For the
that
new
sounds
album?
like a song.
That's a song
I
from.
should have, huh?
Yeah,
What a
I
great-
think so.
I need to do another album.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can call it Chasing the Hawk, or is he chasing me?
Whoa. Look out.
Whoa.
Very profound, Jimmy.
So profound.
That
Jimmy.
is.
How big is the circle you're making in these?
Well, it depends on the size of the thermal.
Wow.
Sometimes thermals can be quite large. Sometimes they're 6-10 feet across. It just depends.
Wow.
getting sucked up
man.
backwards. What did you finally do when you're getting sucked up? How did you guys get down?
Well, you fly out of it, and then you descend, and that's how gliders do distances. There, you can get a pin. I think it's 750 miles. Or you can do 700. So you're rising, going a distance, find another thermal, rise, do another distance, and people fly for forever like that. The limit is how long you can stay awake. There is another type of flying. I've forgotten the term now, but when the wind blows like in Hawaii constantly, like the trade wind, and it hits a cliff and bounces up, it's like water. So you aim your glider into the rising air at a angle that is just enough to stop you from going forward or backward, and you're continually in the air because that wind is continuous.
Just kind of floating.
And you're just floating.
Wow.
And I think the limit is like 50-something. It was when I was aware. It was like 2 days, and then the guy just
Sitting in one place.
Sitting in one place. He couldn't stay awake any longer.
That's amazing.
That's pretty
And
cool.
how long have you been a private pilot?
Oh, a long time.
Long time?
I was doing something, theater thing in Miami in the Poinciana Playhouse in Palm Beach, and there's an airfield next door, and I had always wanted to take lessons. So during the day when I wasn't working at night, I was taking lessons. So I soloed there and went on to fly in Santa Monica and places.
Wow.
I even got checked out in a biplane in a Pitt Special. It's an aerobatics plane.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
got checked out on an aerobatics plane. I did
Wow.
did loops and
You did, yeah.
Cuban rolls. And,
Oh my God.
yeah, it was incredible. Yeah,
You're quite the little daredevil there,
I'm
aren't you?
not afraid to fly, but I just didn't want to be charged that kind of money.
Yeah, 250 large to.
But I was in the desert, the Mojave Desert, when that airplane, technology was being tried out, and they got into space 100,000 feet.
Yeah.
They won a prize. They won $10 million. I've forgotten what the name of the competition was, but that design won $10 million because they were the first ones in space using chopped up rubber and nitric oxide, I think. Instead of oxygen and nitrogen and all these as a fuel, they were using chopped up rubber tires and a gas you can get in your dentist's.
Yeah, like a solid rocket booster they had
exactly.
instead of liquid oxygen.
Liquid oxygen.
Yeah. I guess anything mixed with enough oxygen will burn. So rubber seems to be a good rocket fuel.
I guess it was what the technology is. I don't know, but but they just blew it out the back end and.
Maybe if you had a few tires over there on the Enterprise, Scotty wouldn't have been up Schitt's Creek so many times, you know? You go, Scotty, get me out of here. Chop up some tires. I'm chopping tires as fast as I can. You know? Who would think such an archaic way of... My God, Bill.
What's the height you got to get to be considered breaking the atmosphere?
I think it's 100,000 feet.
Oh, okay.
Wow. 100, yeah.
Did you watch the jump? The Red Bull jump?
I did.
Oh,
How insane was that?
Well, it wasn't insane because he was very careful.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
Well, just as a regular person, I see that as insane. Is what I'm getting at, Bill.
It's insane only as so far as you and I are concerned.
Right.
But he
knew what he was doing.
He's a stunt man. He calculated his chances, and look how famous he became. So as a means of making a living, as being famous for more than the 15 minutes.
Right. When he opened that door and move forward and get ready to jump.
My understanding is that he thought, what am I doing? He's looking down, you know.
The one thing...
And he gets 800 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He broke sound, right? He broke the speed of sound.
He broke gas,
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure he did. When you look at that view when he opened the door, the thing that has to go through your mind is, it looks like I could miss the planet. Like you could just, if you jump to the side a little too much.
Imagine if you jumped and just started floating. You'd be like, oh, fuck.
Well, that's the other thing. What about those guys who wear those winged suits?
Yeah, the winged
and
suits.
And fly through holes in the ground.
I've seen those guys, and they fly next to mountains.
Well, next to mountains, but there's a guy who went through
I know which one you're talking about. It was
really
a couple weeks ago. He aimed and went through a hole
6 feet in diameter.
Yeah,
come on.
It's an unbelievable
He's going
video.
hundreds of miles an hour.
Wow.
And he has to calculate. He's got to get his body together, and he went right through it.
Slipped through
That's
this thing
nuts.
like a needle.
That's crazy.
Threading a needle.
Some little hole in a rock formation. Yeah.
Do they jump off the cliff or do they got out of an aircraft?
He jumped off a cliff in this case, I believe. But they do jump out of aircraft.
I've seen those guys jump off the cliff, and then they, instead of going away from the cliff, they go right next to it.
Right, and
they
they've
have
got
the
a
helmet
head camera.
cameras.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing view, but you think, wow, you could really
You see the
screw
ones
up
that are
there.
10 feet off the ground, and they got their buddies filming them, and they go fucking doing a flyby over his head
With the wings, right?
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, but they must know
They have
that
to
with
know
their
what they're doing.
experience. It surely must take a lot of strength to keep your arms spread out at 100
you would
miles
think
an hour.
that, right?
I mean, if you tried it in a car,
Yeah. And then to have a web
And
on
then to
your
have a
hands
web
like
on
that
it,
would really be pushing your arms
exactly.
back. I think you'd have to be in pretty good shape.
And you know if you close them, you plummet. I guess that's a motivator. The only thing keeping me alive. My arms out.
Did you see Gravity, the movie?
no, I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's wonderful.
I liked it a lot, and not so much. We're starting
I
to
thought
learn
it was
today.
okay. I thought the effects are amazing. They've come so far with technology and how space looks and how they portray weightlessness and whatnot in movies now. It amazes me how they do that. Not that it was ever bad when you were up there.
I was
Mr.
dangling
Shatner.
from a cable,
From
and you could see the cable and see me turning slowly in the wind.
I do remember once you were outside the ship, of course, and you're floating, and you kept disappearing. I think that was the one with the Tholian web, I think. Right. It was the Tholian web. And you were in that funny spacesuit. It kind of didn't really look like a spacesuit. Right. It looked like
I remember
like carpet waffle padding.
The trouble we had was lighting the face. How do you get light on the face? So they had like a light bulb somewhere buried. Turn the switch on.
You got to see Shatner's face. Turn on the light bulb. Oh, yeah, and floating around there. And I assumed it was by cables or sometimes maybe even I think your hands are just up and you were on the floor doing this.
That's
and then
funny.
they just kind of cut your feet off in the shot.
I don't remember, but probably. Maybe I want to forget.
I don't think you could ever forget that. Oh my God!
This, for just to come back for a second, this album is
of course,
is progressive rock.
Yeah,
and progressive rock, I've come to think of as the science fiction of music. It's pushing the boundaries. It's opening up areas that may not have been there before. In this case, Billy Sherwood, who is a progressive rock genius.
Yeah, from Yes.
From Yes. And by the way, Tony Kaye and Scott Connor and Ricky Tierney form a group called Circa. And I am going to be doing the album with Circa in 3 venues in the Los Angeles area. Canoga Park, the Canyon Club is one of them, and 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this month of October, I'll be in the Los Angeles area performing this album with these wonderful musicians with the idea of seeing how good we are, whether we're good enough to go on and tour and maybe play places like Vegas.
That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, I would like to see that. Absolutely.
I'm having such a journey with this album and this music video, which is on YouTube. Shot the music video, on a shoestring and then making the album and now performing the album in front of public. The public is a musical journey I've never been on before. There is such a mystery in music. There is, to the people who aren't music, or haven't studied or aren't acquainted, like somebody was saying, finding one. Do you know what that means?
No.
And here you are, you play records all the time. And nor did I. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, right? So you got to find one. The drummer has to find one, and the bass guitarist has to find one, and that rhythm. How do you know when to come in? How do you know after a long solo, do you come in?
That is true. It's almost this instinctive thing you kind of feel.
It isn't. Well, yeah, but what if you don't feel good that night?
Well, that's true.
you don't come in?
Then you get jazz.
You got to come in.
You got to come in
The
on
guy finishes, you got to start. How do you know when to start? It's mysterious, I'm telling you. You need all kinds of help. So that mystery, not only that, not only the mystery of when to come in.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
That's right.
Right.
The needs of the one outweigh the needs of the 4 or the count of 7. They even have, in this record, they have a count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Wow, that's not even an even number.
That's exactly. It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
So this mystery of rhythm is one. The other mystery for me is I saw Yo-Yo Ma play his cello at with the Los Angeles Philharmonic a couple of weeks ago. Have you ever seen him?
No, I had a friend. He hit his head
That's too
once,
highbrow for us.
and he couldn't say anything but Yo-Yo Ma. He kept just blurting it out. Yo-Yo Ma. He got his head kicked
Is that
by
a
some
true
guy.
story?
Yeah, and some guy kicked him in the head,
And he kept saying Yo-Yo
and he
Ma?
said Yo-Yo Ma. I don't know why.
What is that?
I don't know. It's some kind of a brain thing, I guess.
No, he wouldn't have said no mas.
No, it was Yo-Yo Ma. Weird.
Yo-Yo mas.
No.
Well, anyway, Yo-Yo Ma, the great cellist, right? So I watched him play, and the cello in his hand and the bow in his other hand, it was like an extension, not only just his body, but of his soul. He played the music. He was alive in the music. And that, the mystery of, in this case, the cello, the catgut and a horsehair, and this gorgeous sound emerges. We're the only animal that does that. There are other animals that sing and make music with their voice, but who makes a tool to make music, which on the surface of it should be screeching?
It just sounds like it would be ridiculous, right? We'll take a horsehair and
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't play it right, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like my grandchild playing the violin, you know. My grandchild got violin lessons. She'd never really heard a violin. One day she heard the violin. She said, "Oh, that's what it's supposed to sound like."
And it really is odd that you could teach someone, no matter how much they practice and how much you teach them, they just can't be as good as somebody who has a natural talent for it. So there's just this natural ability.
I wonder about that.
Taught.
Is it a natural ability? Is it a child who lets, or I guess an adult who lets themselves be totally open to the experience, so that they go with the experience rather than saying, "Ooh, I'm not good," and get self-conscious and restricts themselves, no matter what the skill is.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. But that's more. It is kind of a difference between something mathematical and something spiritual. You know, is it something that could be looked at in an equation, or is it a more spiritual flowing thing?
So that mystery of the music is the journey I'm on now. Discovering I'm into the words, but Billy Sherwood composing the music and knitting music and words together.
It's like an undiscovered country.
Yeah, was the best of all those movies. You know?
I liked that one. I did. I liked them all.
What do you listen to? What do you listen to? What kind of music?
Well, I'm probably a jazz enthusiast.
Oh, you like jazz?
Yeah.
And hates jazz.
I don't like jazz. I want to like jazz.
Yeah, you can't hate jazz.
He hates it.
I don't hate it, but I can't.
No,
Shatner.
you can't.
This guy hates it.
Jazz. You can't. No, you're not listening to music that pleases you. Jazz takes so many forms. You can't hate jazz. Jazz could be the blues. I mean, jazz.
I know.
He doesn't like the blues either.
Jazz to
you
me.
can't hate the blues.
He hates the blues.
He likes disco.
Well, then jazz is upbeat.
I don't like disco.
Yeah.
He loves guns, though.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like disco.
It begins and ends with Donna Summer.
No,
To him.
I don't like it when it sounds like everybody in the band is playing something completely different. It sounds very self-indulgent.
All right, so listen, on one of the cuts, Al Di Meola, the great jazz guitarist, is on my record.
Ooh.
Al Di Meola is playing on my album, Pond of the Mystery. He plays a lick on one of the songs. It's fantastic. Steve Vai.
Oh, right, yeah.
Playing guitar in the opening number makes me weep with the wrenching feeling of his electric guitar.
Which one is he on?
He's on the first one.
Where It's Gone?
Where It's Gone.
Is that the one we should play today?
Play that. Play that. It's
when we're done here, we're going to do that for you.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I was watching Columbo the other night.
Yeah.
And there was Dr. Janice Lester and T'Pring, the Vulcan bride, on the same episode.
That's impossible.
I've
never seen them together.
I've never seen them together either, but there it was. I'm like, this is like a Star Trek cavalcade I'm watching on Columbo. You were in a Columbo, too.
I was in more than one.
More than one, yeah. Those were great shows. The only bad thing about it, you missed the first 5 minutes. You might as well not watch the show.
The difficulty with that show, and the problem for writing for it was, you, the audience, knew who did it,
yes,
and you had to watch with fascination, while the character in the movie
figures it out,
knows what you already know,
right?
And that was the difficulty in writing.
They pulled it off, though.
Oh yeah,
it works. It's a fun show to watch. Great character, and then you just see people from from old episodes of Bonanza and Star
everybody
Trek
wanted to do it. It was an hour and a half. It paid well, and it was well written, so you wanted to be on that show.
Some really good directors too. Where you'd watch the credits and see like
everybody
my God,
tried
Spielberg
out.
Some of that.
Spielberg started off at Universal doing
right.
Little
They did
film.
Duel, that movie Duel, with
Peter
it was McLeod who
yeah,
played
yeah,
McLeod.
yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, the guy with the limp.
The guy with the limp and the little Dennis Weaver. Thank
Dennis
you,
Weaver.
sir. Yeah, and he directed Duel.
Right, and Peter Matheson wrote it.
Yeah.
And these were all great names of people just starting their career
At the time, yeah. That Night Gallery was another show. Rod Serling's Night Gallery. There was a lot of young at the time directors that were doing that.
I actually wanted to ask about Rod Serling because we kind of have a fascination with him here. What was he like to be around?
Well, I wish I could say that he was a mentor to everybody. I was, as you were asking me, I thought, well, would I make up he was a child molester? That won't go well.
Yay!
No, I better not. His widow will sue me. What you're asking is, I, as a young actor, just sort of beginning and knocking on doors, what did I think of the producer who was up in the building, and I never up in the offices I never got to. But in this case, I had worked with him and a group of the people that he took with him from live television to film when he was doing Twilight Zone. So I had worked with Rod in live television. In the latter part of the live television days, I came from Canada, and I did Playhouse 90 and all those hour shows that were famous at the time. And he and a host of people whose names you would recognize from movies were there beginning their careers, just like you're saying now about these early film stuff. They were burgeoning. So I did get to know him a little bit. A cool guy, short in stature, enormous talent, creative talent as a writer. And he did mentor a lot of people.
How long did it take you to film that famous episode, the Man on the Wing episode?
They were all 3, 4, 5 days, maybe.
Yeah, that and being a pilot, you'd know what the stupid little furry guy could do out there.
Being afraid of flying, according to our list.
I don't know where those things come from, but it's insane. It makes you think how all the stuff we want to believe. So and so was sleeping with so and so. Oh yeah, but
yeah.
It's it's so much of it's made up. I don't know where they get it from.
Yeah, I know.
Like afraid of flying. I mean,
how would if they do a little research, they could tell that you're a
figure
pilot.
that one out.
Right.
Hey, did the little man? Who was the little man in the costume on the wing? Did you get to know him at all?
He's a Czechoslovakian, or was a Czechoslovakian acrobat.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in a little furry suit that was ridiculous. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Standing, you'd think they'd give him wings or some streamlining or something.
Yeah.
He was a little panda bear on the edge of a wing trying to.
And when he flew off, they just kind of pulled him up and out of frame.
Exactly. and like you were saying, our special effects were so bad, which tells you that the audience is willing to suspend disbelief on anything if the story is good enough.
Right. The biggest thing, problem I had with the episode was just tell the wife, who's so concerned with her husband at the time because he had this nervous breakdown, look, sit here and look out the window the whole flight. Just stay there, don't move. There, problem solved. Either she sees it or it never shows up again and he's fine.
Yeah, but she was so tired she had to sleep.
Oh, she'd had it with you.
She had to sleep. She had narcolepsy or something.
And it really shows how far we've gone because the sky marshal or whatever he was, the cop that was on board the plane, he's asleep with his gun just hanging out in the aisle. What a
and yet
iconic episode.
Right. Why?
Yeah.
Why? What is the answer to why?
I think the story hits home with a fear of flying, a fear of the unknown. It didn't matter that the effects weren't that good, and
a fear of not being heard, seeing something that's wrong and saying it, and nobody believing you were listening to you.
That's interesting. So you must have had a lot of that in your life.
I have it every day of my life, actually, continually. I tell a woman, I'm perfect for you, and she just doesn't hear me.
My favorite scene in that whole episode is when the co-pilot, I guess, comes out and he's talking and you say there's a man out there, and he goes, we know. We've seen, and he goes, and you go, oh, you've seen it yet? Oh, Okay. Like you're all thrilled that he finally saw, and then you realize, oh, he's bullshitting me.
Hey, would you? No, I've never thought of that, but you're absolutely right. I bet it's.
I told him that.
No, you didn't. He said it was about a fear of hairy men on wings. I'm like, you're an idiot. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, God.
Yeah, maybe it's seeing something that no one else sees. Because Sterling
Yeah.
had that weird, because we
not
started
being heard.
Yeah.
How many children? That's got to be such a basic impulse. You don't think about that, but children at a table who say, "I got, let me," and the adults are all talking,
Just not even
and
paying
nobody's
attention.
listening to them, and that rage and frustration of not being heard has got to be something we carry with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Well, look at that.
Yeah,
A little,
that's what I do. I just analyze. How about would you talk to the little Czechoslovakian guy like I'm fascinated with that guy. You would talk to him at like craft services or the primitiveness of the technology didn't occur to me then.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I don't know why I didn't think. This is so idiotic. I'm embarrassed to be in this.
that's how I feel every day here.
But then you just have to look around.
They're saying we got to wrap up.
Oh, God.
Bill, they're saying you got to go. You got TV to
Bill's
do.
very busy today.
I got a day. I'm promoting Ponder the Mystery.
Yes.
But this is really worth promoting. It's a terrific album. It's gotten great reviews, by the way.
Make a good Christmas gift, Bill?
A great Christmas
Very
gift.
good.
It's a meaningful album. It means you really love the person you're giving it to.
Absolutely.
You look damn good on the cover there,
I
Sid.
know.
Hey, pretty good, huh?
Looking
Yeah,
all
there
right,
is
man.
a very
at
regal
that.
kind of
With the sun behind him, shining through him, basically.
captain look, or perhaps even the admiral. Admiral! Oh, was he mad that you were an admiral? Boy, was Khan pissed. Sorry, Bill.
That's okay.
I love the damn show. What can I say?
Why don't we play a track?
What song would you recommend?
Why don't you sign this and we'll give it away? That'd be cool
man.
too, right?
Give me
Yeah.
a-
That's huge.
Yeah, let's do that. But we're going to play Where It's Gone, I Don't Know.
Good.
From Ponder the Mystery, William Shatner's new album. Doing a little progressive rock here.
Like it.
The great Bill Shatner.
Thank you.